o'clock, so we'll go ahead here now. I think that looks as if it's everybody and everybody online there. So welcome to this meeting for Derry City and Strabane District Council. And John, I'll let you read the notice first.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend this special meeting of the Council, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically here in the Council Chamber, Monday 2nd of December at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Online, John.
Alderman Guy.
Here, John.
Alderman Hussey.
His apology. He's allowed to sit responsible.
Okay. Alderman Carrigan. Alderman McMorris.
Online, John.
Alderman Middleton.
Here, John, online.
Alderman Montgomery.
Online, John.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Online, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor Lillian Barr. Apologies. Councillor Raymond Barr.
Apologies, John.
Councillor Boggs.
Shaw, John, online.
Councillor Boyle. Councillor Clark.
Shaw.
Councillor Cusick. Councillor Deeney.
Apologies, John, for Caitlin.
Councillor Devine.
Shaw.
Councillor Donnelly.
Shaw. Not Shaw.
Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Shaw.
Councillor Farrell.
Online.
Councillor Fleming.
And Shaw.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw, online, John.
Councillor Heaney.
And Shaw.
Councillor Hutton.
And Shaw, online, John.
Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard.
And Shaw, Arlena, online.
Councillor Logue.
And Shaw, online, John.
Councillor McDade.
Apologies, John.
From Councillor McDade. Okay. Councillor McGinley.
Shaw.
Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney.
Here.
Councillor Murphy.
Shaw.
Councillor Norris.
Apologies.
Councillor O'Farrell.
Apologies.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney.
Here, John.
Councillor Neelis.
Arlena.
Thank you, members. Alderman Carrigan, thank you. Are there any other members online I may have missed there?
Councillor Harkin, thanks.
Councillor Murphy. Yes, got you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Harkin, thank you. Okay, members, back to you, Deputy Mayor, thank you.
So, broadcasting statement. So I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated view. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to be filmed and to use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council Privacy Notice may be found on the Council website www.derrystrabane.com. Members, welcome to this special meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council. We have two motions on the floor. I'm minded to take the first motion first from Alderman Kerrigan and Alderman Middleton. Have the discussion and then obviously take the second motion from Councillor Boggs, and then we can see whether there is any further discussion needed. And if not, then we can pass both motions, and that's probably where we'll work from there. So we'll move on, and I will that Alderman Kerry can come in there now.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for allowing me in. I take the motion, I put forward the motion, and Alderman Middleton is to second it, but I do believe that Alderman Middleton wishes to speak first, and then I might come in then summarise if we're content enough for the like of that.
Alderman Middleton, are you online there? Do you want to come in?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for allowing me to speak. So we'll take the motion as read today, and we're glad to see so many of our fellow councillors online and in the chamber. I just want to put on record that we're glad to see this council prioritising our farming communities, our farming families, farming workers, and our agribusinesses today. Long may this continue. Today, we as council representatives of not just our own areas, but of our full district, comprising of hard-working farmers and successful agribusinesses, must join together as one voice to strongly oppose the Labour-imposed family farm tax. Farmers don't get any days off. Farmers don't get to avoid bad weather. Farmers don't have the luxury of hybrid working. Farmers provide for us all, day and daily. I'm proud to not only stand by our farmers, our party is proud to not only stand by our farmers and our farming families and our agribusinesses, district and province-wide. Whether they voted for us or not, we will stand with them, and I hope that everybody has the same viewpoint today. We are deeply committed to working with them and for them. I share their anger, their frustration, and their deep disappointment at the Labour-imposed family farm tax, which must be stopped. The DUP has been very vocal, present, and proactive in our support on this and other issues affecting our farming families, which often affect them, and in this case does affect them in the worst possible way. We will continue to show this support. As I have previously spoken about, our district is made up of many rural areas supported heavily by farmers. The Faughan, which I am so proud to represent, has many farming families who have served us all in every way for generations. They're hard-working, honest and humble people, but it doesn't mean that they don't feel anger, that they don't feel cheated, or they don't feel let down. The frustration and need for change cannot and must not be ignored. This issue is not a lone issue, but it's the final straw within our farming communities, where they have taken the brunt of many negative decisions with no thought for the work, dedication, or strong ties to their land, their work, and their produce. Looking at a spreadsheet in an office does not and never will give a full picture of a farmer's workload, their day-to-day life, their sacrifice, or their commitment to providing food and other resources for our country. I would like to think that we as council representatives will all unite behind our farming communities to send a strong message that we also think enough is enough. And I do hope that this motion today will be supported. And as I said in our last meeting, please do remember, no farmers, no food. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman Middleton. Alderman Kerrigan, did you want to come in there now?
Thank you very much, Deputy, for allowing me in. Just to reiterate in the comments that my colleague Alderman Middleton has brought in, it has the impact then that this policy will bring in, but it's the two elements of the motion there, in my eyes there. It is in regard that the budget is not ring fenced, which is causing difficulties, not inflation linked. This puts additional pressure on. The subsidies now there are more difficulties in qualifying for the subsidy that has been produced. There are more elements, I would imagine, with this minister that it will be more on the environmental end of things. Farmers have been, as we have been to meetings in this council in regards to the climate emergency and in regards to the element there, the farming community are those that are proactive in regards to that, in regards to the carbon, seeking to be as carbon neutral as possible. So there are moves there, and this will be seems to be the policy in regard to the current DAERA minister. But there are the difficulties on it, and there are people there, and I've seen it portrayed in the media there currently. There are some that are less than sympathetic, we'll put it that way, in regards to the plight, in regards to the difficulty which these policies are currently undertaken here. But it is the difficulty that the product that is produced, and I am very much minded that
we are all benefits there in regards to the subsidised price of food. And you will know, those that are shopping there, in regards to your price of your if you're going to get your Sunday roast, or if you're getting your chicken or whatever it is, the price of that there, all of that should be an increased price. The subsidy was brought in to help subsidise the price of foodstuffs for the general public, and that's the element of the subsidy. And I would still be minded the subsidy should be on that. There has elements of subsidy that have been placed on land, but that's been moved away now. But it's the difficulty that the budget's not ring fenced. The impact as well, of course, in the inheritance tax, as stated previously there, this £1 million limit. The farmer, very much, it has to be in your blood to do it, and it is a scenario that individuals will carry on the role of farming, but it's what they love. It's a calling for them to do that, and they never really own the land. They are really just custodians for the land. It's never classified as an asset. It may be an asset to the bank, but that's where it's sitting at. And the difficulties with the inheritance tax rules that have been brought on there, in regards to as well the average acreage price in Northern Ireland compared to England, whereby in England it's approximately 10,000 an acre, so your 100-acre farm could be approximately worth $1 million. In Northern Ireland we're sitting at 14,000 an acre, so your impact there, you're already straight over the limit for 100 acres of land. Again, as figures then from the Farmers Union, we have the difficulty there with 75% of our dairy farmers in Northern Ireland would be deemed as over the limit and would be caught with this inheritance tax bracket. So these are concerns, and one of the factors there, it is impacting those that are seeking to take on farms and to continue in that sector. It is the impact on the wider rural community, it's impact on investment, and it's the case that a farmer never holds on to his money, he spends the money, and that money is spent in various other sectors. Should that be in drainage, and should that be of field work and digger work, as applying digger work there could be work then to agricultural machinery, there could be upgrades in machinery, there could be work into additional farm buildings or replacing farm buildings, and it's the knock-on effect to that wider community, because there are many people on small farms that may well not be caught in the inheritance tax, but those individuals may be farming, and they may well be carrying on another profession, say that be paring cows' feet or anything at all, and it's the impact on the entire agricultural community. So just to touch base on that, but we'll be very keen to get the support of the council in regards to the motion there that we are opposing the changes that have been brought in. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for allowing me in.
Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Councillor Boggs.
Deputy Mayor, thank you for letting me in. And from the outset, can I just say that it's my intention that if this motion passes in the name of Alderman Kerrigan, that I won't move, and I will withdraw the motion that is listed in my name as well. So I want to thank, first of all, Alderman Kerrigan, and Alderman Middleton for bringing the motion forward today. And I also want to put on record how much I feel this meeting, Common Day Special Meeting of Council, this motion, Common Day Special Meeting of Council, how much focus that puts in and on our farming community and our rural community, and shows that as a council we are very, very supportive of them. I won't reiterate everything that we said at the last council meeting, Deputy Mayor, but I do want to again put on record, and on behalf of Sinn Féin, that the move by the British government only again shows the complete lack of care or consideration for farmers here in the north. And I think it is again a lesson that not only does the British government not care about farmers here in the north, but it doesn't care about anybody here in the north. Farmers are the bedrock of the all-island economy, and I think we need to be very mindful today that when we are looking at farming in terms of an economy and in terms of a business, we need to remember that it contributes so much to the economy right across this island, and indeed right across these islands. So it only goes, this move in terms of inheritance tax only goes to cause more uncertainty to farmers at a time when they have dealt with much uncertainty as a result of Brexit. And in terms of issues like family planning, farm planning and family farm succession, these are issues that are already extremely difficult and huge issues that are being faced by family farmers, and they're only being made much, much worse now by decisions that are being taken at Westminster that are not in the interests of family farmers here. And I think, just to pick up on what Alderman Kerrigan has said there in relation to those that have appeared less sympathetic in the media over the last number of weeks, I think they need to realise firmly that when the livelihoods of when farmers are negatively impacted, then the livelihoods of each and every one of us right across our communities is negatively impacted as well. So I just want to reiterate again that this is a bad decision by the British government, to reiterate that it's an impact of partition that we are dealing with these cuts in relation to farming, but also that our farmers need sustained support and not greater uncertainty at this time. And it is with one voice, and it's partly the reason why I am not going to move my motion if this one is accepted, is because we need to speak with one voice, and we need to call for this decision to be reversed by the British Chancellor and by the British government, and for fair and ring fence funding similar to that and mirror of that they have in the EU's Pillar 1 funding, so that we can provide certainty and security to our farmer community and to our rural community. So just again to thank the Alderman for bringing forward the motion, and on behalf of Sinn Féin, we are happy to support it. Very much, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boggs. Anyone else? There's Councillor Minnie. Sorry, Councillor Devine, go ahead there. Nobody didn't pick up on any. That's what I'm saying. Councillor Devine, then go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My dad turned 80 this year, and he's still farming. It's a very small farm. It's nowhere near the threshold in terms of the inheritance tax, but it gives me an insight into farming life and the values that they hold dear. Farming's in their blood, it's in their DNA. They pour their heart and their soul into the land, into rearing animals and growing crops so that they can produce high quality food and produce for every one of us here. I think if farmers are driven out of farming and food production, we're going to have to import probably lower quality products, and that's going to impact every single person. Farming is at the heart of our rural communities and our rural life. The income in the farming community is expected to drop by 46% in the last financial year. Many of our farmers are earning below the minimum wage. They work long hours. And I've heard it asked, why would you stay in any job or any industry where that's the case? Because it's their life. It's their heritage. Those farms have been handed down to them from one generation to the next. It's not just about the financial value that's put on the land. I think Brexit has also threatened the funding for farming and for our rural communities, and every one of us need to show our support for farming and for rural communities, and encourage our young people to stay in farming or to join or to come back into it, not to put obstacles in their way. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Devine. Councillor Minnie.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to everybody else who spoke there. And we would be supporting this motion anyway. And our own MLA, Patsy McAloon, has spoken about this through the Assembly. But within our own council group, I mean, it's clear that, you know, I don't come from farming stock, and many others in Chamber who do. But I think when you listen to our fellow members who are from the rural aspects, and from rural areas of our council area, like Councillor Devine and Alderman Kerrigan and Alderman Middleton there, you can see, you know, when this news broke and you heard sort of various media outlets and you heard debates about farmers and the rollback in this decision from the Labour government, you could see people, you know, comparing and contrasting different businesses. But it's clear from what I listened to, you can tell that the farming community have made a case, you know, a sustainable case about, you know, why these provisions should remain, because obviously it's a different sort of business and different sort of form of, you know, livelihood. Because as Alderman Middleton said and Councillor Devine said, you know, farmers work 24 hours a day, mostly 7 days a week. You know, they don't tend to take time off, and their lives are devoted to their area, to their community, and the farms that they maintain and the farms that they. And it sounds like a lot of times you hear a lot of farmers, and it is a struggle to keep going. But I mean, even on that case, I mean, that to me would be a very sustainable, decision, a sustainable case to say that they should be treated differently than the others. and obviously that these provisions should remain intact because it then provides for sustainable agriculture, sustainable living, and sustainable business model for probably one of the biggest sectors in our jurisdiction, which is agriculture. So I don't know why this decision was taken. There obviously appeared to be a lack of consultation from the Labour government because it seems very short-sighted. They take this decision, but I do hope that, you know, this motion that was passed by our council might go some way to, hopefully they break that decision down, and hopefully there might be some reverse on it. But certainly the SDLP like to show our support and solidarity for our farming community in this jurisdiction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Minnie. No one else indicated to speak, and there's no one online has indicated. Sorry. Councillor Harkin, you want to go ahead there?
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And yeah, look, I think it's good that we're taking time to discuss this. And people before profit and all our trade unions are very, very sympathetic to our farming community. But it's not the case that this is the first attack on farmers. I mean, we've had an executive that has promoted industrial farming now for decades, that has put huge pressures on smaller farmers and benefited bigger farmers and seen massive profits derived from having an agricultural policy that is focused on farming for export. And that hasn't been good for farming. It hasn't been good for our farmland. It hasn't been good for our environment. It hasn't been good for the health and well-being of people right across our society. So many of the pressures that farmers feel, it's the Stormont executive that has to take responsibility for those, because they've driven a lot of farms out of business with this industrial policy. There's some retrospective regret now that going for growth was the policy that the Stormont executive promoted for many, many years, over the top of many, many criticisms. And I feel for farmers that have been hit very hard as a result of that. And there's none of this is included in this discussion, which is a bit odd, to be quite honest. The pressures that we've heard from farmers, particularly smaller farmers who don't actually meet the threshold that has been introduced for the inheritance tax, so that's one part of it. The second thing that has to be acknowledged as well is that there's been executive parties who've celebrated the fact that Moy Park have made billions in profit in the last year, billions in profit at the expense of many of our farmers, at the expense of many of our small farmers. So again, we have a farming policy that actually rewards entities like Moy Park, and has been punishing farmers now for years and years and years. So none of this is discussed either in either of these motions. We don't hear any reflection on that in terms of Stormont's role in driving small farmers out of business. And we also have to ask the question, why are farmers living in poverty? Why is that? And I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that, like, Stormont has facilitated Moy Park in terms of profiteering. You look at the supermarkets and the retail businesses that dictate prices to farmers, and it's meant that many farmers have had to work harder and harder and harder as a result of the fact that, like, prices are dictated by huge big companies that make massive profits, that don't pay enough in taxes, and then they're feeling the brunt of it. And Stormont, to be honest, has done very, very little about this year in, year out. And because it's been beneficial for some of the biggest agri-farmer businesses. So, a lot of small farmers have actually been ignored by the executive over many, many years. So the thing about the inheritance tax that the Starmer government has introduced, I mean, look, many parties in this chamber actually campaigned for wealth taxes during the Westminster election, said that we wanted to see them introduced. I think that the Starmer government could have done a lot more, meaning that they could have focused on putting wealth taxes on the energy companies on big agribusiness, on arms manufacturers, on the big retail companies and supermarkets that are dictating prices. They could have done a lot more in terms of targeting the super wealthy and the most powerful corporations. There's a bit of that, but there's not enough of it. But I think that inheritance taxes are good. It's a good thing that there's pressure on the Starmer government. They actually introduce inheritance taxes. So I think it would be a mistake to now demand that the Starmer government, after campaigning for wealth taxes, that the Starmer government actually reverse them. I think what we want is wealth taxes that go a lot further and that are more concentrated and focused on targeting the biggest in the agribusiness sector, that are targeting those companies that have done nothing but profiteer for many years. But in general, look, inheritance taxes are about redistributing wealth. And I look at, the threshold numbers. Many of the small farmers will not be impacted. The loudest voices in some ways have been those that have the most and maybe have the most to lose out because of the impact that the inheritance tax will have. So there's a lot of the stuff in the Starmer budget that was absolutely awful because so there's no endorsement of Starmer's budget. They refused to undo the two-child policy. They refused to reverse their attack on the elderly with the winter fuel payment. But there is an argument that those with the broadest shoulders should be paying more. And I think we want to see more wealth taxes, not less. And I think that, if I was devising the policy, I'd have done it a lot differently. But I don't think that I think it's regressive to actually call for the removal of inheritance taxes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. Have we any more speakers? There's no one indicated in the box there. No. It's just left for me to say basically that obviously my colleague had hoped to speak in this as well, so I was leaving at the hammer. I'd not really prepared in this, so he hasn't arrived on yet. He was coming down from Belfast, so I know he was supportive of both motions, and I know he had tried to basically work behind the scenes to maybe get a joint motion with everybody. But listen, I'm happy to support the motion here in place, and maybe we'll have enough to go to a vote now. So, Alderman Middleton, if you want to sum up.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you to everyone who spoke today. Most of us are in full support of the farmers who will be impacted and be impacted badly if something isn't stopped. And I think it was Councillor Mooney who sort of leaned to the fact that some of us are from rural communities, do know rural people, do know farmers, do be on farms and recognise what these farmers are going through prior to all this coming through, what they were going through and what they're going through day in, day out. Farmers have mental health, farmers have families, farmers have a life, so it's so important that we stand by them. And it doesn't take it, I don't know how to sum up really what I want to say, but I just thankful that everybody spoke. I'm thankful, as I'm gathering there'll be support for the motion. I'm thankful that we're able to unite as one voice, and I think that we should be doing more of this for our local people. We should be uniting together more on things that impact local people. So thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Alderman Middleton. So we'll take it to a vote, which I think is going to be unanimous anyway. So already Philip or already John. Is there anyone who's going to vote against this motion?
Chair, Councillor Donnelly here, I'm abstaining.
Okay, I will take a vote then, yeah. You want to? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Kerrigan.
Oh, you called to 100%. Go away. Go away.
Alderman Cook,
4.
Alderman Guy, Alderman Kerrigan, Alderman McMorris,
4.
Alderman Middleton,
4.
Alderman Montgomery,
4.
Alderman Wilkinson, Councillor Jason Barr,
For, John.
Councillor Boggs,
Aye.
Councillor Clark,
Aye.
Councillor Devine,
Taj.
Councillor Donnelly,
Abstain.
Councillor Sandra Duffy, Councillor Farrell,
For.
Councillor Fleming,
Ta.
Councillor Harkin,
Against.
Councillor Hart,
Ta.
Councillor Heaney,
Ta.
Councillor Hutton,
Ta.
Councillor Jackson, Councillor Leonard, Councillor Logue,
For.
Councillor McGinley,
John.
Councillor Mooney, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Tierney,
For.
and Councillor Nealis.
Ta.
Thank you, members.
And I'm online as well, Councillor Riley. Can I be recorded as voting for?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Riley. Any other members? Deputy Mayor, I've recorded 24 for, 1 against and 1 abstention.
Thank you, members. So the motion passes. Councillor Boggs, are you happy to defer, or yours now? You mentioned it before we actually started with the motions there.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I'm happy not to move my motion, and just in the same vein as yourself in relation to Alderman Hussey. I just want to thank Alderman Kerrigan and Alderman Hussey for engaging before this meeting to try and get a consensus in relation to a motion, and while we weren't able to do it in terms of tight timeframes, I think it's good to know that we were all in the same place as this, calling for the decision to be reversed. So happy not to move my motion. Deputy Mayor, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Boggs, and thank you, members.